celebrating the art of storytelling and the artists who bring stories to life. This is the Viewfinder Podcast with Chris Hadley.
On this week's show, I'm honored to be joined by the brilliant team behind the new comedy short film You and Me Makes Three, Emmalie El Fadli and Hansof Waller. Emmalie directed the film and co-wrote it alongside Hansof, and the film is now on the festival circuit, with its streaming release planned for sometime in 2028. Further details on the film and its festival showings can be found on You and Me Makes Three's Instagram page at You and Me Makes Three Film. Emmalie, hands off, it is great to have you both on the show today. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
What is You and Me Makes Three about?
So You and Me Makes Three is a short film about a sapphic couple, basically on the journey to starting a family.
What inspired you to make the film?
Basically, we started as filmmakers because we felt like there wasn't enough positive lesbian representation in the media. So positive sapphic representation in the media, really. And so we started back in, I think it was 2016, 2017, where we started to write stories where we had positive endings, happy endings, things like that. So we started writing our first film called The Date, which is now on YouTube. You can watch it anywhere, anytime. And whilst we were writing that, Hansof wanted to keep going. And she started to come up with different ideas and stuff. And she brought this idea to me about two women trying to start a family. And I agreed with her that we just hadn't really seen it. We've seen it in the media before. So it's been in The L Word. The L Word had a big storyline around Tina and Bet trying for a baby. It was also in Queer as Folk. The lesbian couple had a child. So, I mean, it's been out there. It's just that we've never really seen it in just a positive, fun way. And those are the types of stories that we want to continue to make. So we decided to start writing. We actually started writing it as a feature film piece. So we have a feature film version of the film that we need to kind of finish in a sense. But then we got the opportunity to turn it into a short, and we took it because we felt like the story was really important to tell. So the inspiration, I wouldn't say there was so much an inspiration behind it, but more, we just felt like we hadn't seen that story before. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I hadn't seen in the media and I hadn't seen in real life, any queer people having children, having a family. All I saw around me was obviously straight people and them having their families and stuff.
Yeah.
But I knew queer people existed, but I didn't know about their families, etc. And it wasn't until we started researching this film that I then found them.
Exactly. So, I mean, they existed. We're not saying they didn't exist. It's just that unless you have a friend and it's happening around you, it wasn't in the media as much as we had hoped. So, for example, there were plenty of YouTubers and things like that and influencers that were starting to go down that path. And that was really the only way that we felt like we were having a little glimpse into that world. But, if you weren't watching TV, we weren't seeing it as clearly as heterosexual couples, if that makes sense.
Since then, it's got a lot better, though, which is good.
The film revolves around a young couple, Amara, played by Danny Mosley, and Alana, played by Maria Oxley Boardman, who embark on a remarkable and frequently funny journey towards becoming parents. How did you lend both realism and humor to their storyline, and in what ways did you make it relatable to audiences?
The whole thing about this film is that from the very start, we wanted to make it as real as possible. So obviously we know that in real life, this story is different for every couple. As soon as we started writing it, we knew that we wanted to make it a comedy. We knew we wanted it to be lighthearted. And we knew that we wanted it to be a feel-good film. I don't know if your question so much was about realism, but the way that we brought basically the real side to it is that we did a lot of research and we spoke to a lot of sapphic couples about their journey and how it went for them. And we kind of combined everything. And obviously we did a lot of research online as well about statistics and things like that, because we wanted it to be as real as possible. Hansof and I have never tried for kids. We don't have kids. Hansof says that she might want kids in the future, so she might go through this process in the future. But when we started, we knew nothing about this world. So yeah, it was just a lot of research and everything like that. When it came to comedy, it was really important for us that we worked with actors that were good at comedy. So for example, Danny was literally on a comedy show, BBC comedy show called Dreaming Whilst Black. And she was very funny in that, but in very subtle ways, which I loved. We're not here to make a slapstick film. We still want it to be like I said, like natural, realistic and stuff. And Maria, which is Alana's character is supposed to be a lot more serious and a lot more down to earth and a lot more like calming and stuff like that. So you will actually see that in the film. You can very clearly see a difference between the two characters. And I felt that Maria, I saw her showreel, and something about one film in the showreel, I was just like, this is Alana. Like she just did something that was really quirky or funny, even though it seemed like a semi-serious piece, that I was just like, that's her. Like she can go between funny and serious and just very delicately, if that makes sense.
In terms of the two actors who play that couple, how did you help them to achieve the performances that you were looking for?
We were able to do a day of rehearsing. So we had a rehearsal day literally the day before the first day of shoot. We did do a read through on Zoom beforehand, like maybe a few days before the rehearsal, just so that everybody could get to know each other. So it was really important that we got them at least to see each other in the Zoom. But then on the rehearsal day, we got all of the actors in, apart from the mother, the mom, Joy, who was played by Kemi. She already knew Danny because she was also on the show Dreaming Whilst Black. So they knew each other, so I knew that the relationship there would be completely fine. We just had a really good day because Hansof is a photographer, and it was really important for us to try and really build the real friendship between Alana and Amara and the boys. The couple are supposed to be married for 5 years. Obviously, they dated long before that. So it's a really big relationship that we're supposed to build in like such a short period of time. And we only had a day. And so, yeah, it's really important for us to do rehearsals because it really helps us get the actors to know each other and get the couple to really kind of become a real couple. And I think you'll really see that in the film. There are so many moments where I feel like if they didn't have that time together, it would just feel really wooden. Like there are so many times where they just touch each other a certain way, or they lean on each other a certain way, or they just turn their heads at the same time. And it's just stuff like that that I just don't think we would have gotten if we didn't have that time with them together before filming. And I know it's really difficult for a lot of short films to get that time because it's normally extra money, extra time. But I just think it's so important. Like if you don't have that time together, I think it really does show in the final piece.
As for the rest of the characters in this film, who are they? Who plays them, and how do they relate to Danny, Maria, and their quest?
So you've got the two best friends, David and Tom. David is played by Kelvin Addy, and Tom is played by Alexander Morris. They're very important to the film because obviously they're the best friends and they're a massive support system.
And they're also really important because they are how the girls try to get pregnant for the first time. David is the one that offers.
And then you've got Kemi Adekoya, who is Amara's lovely mum, and she is one of the best parts of the film, I would say. She's absolutely hilarious, and she's so supportive of Amara, which lots of people have told us is like really special to them. Yeah, we're just very happy to have her in the film, and yeah, we love her character.
What was the production process like, and what challenges did you encounter given the limited time and budget that you had to work with?
Yes, very good question. Oh, that limited time and budget, that is a big thing. The production process was actually really good, I feel. I worked with some of the best people that I've ever worked with. You know, we've done 2 short films in the past, and I think I personally have found the team I want to keep working with. They were really hardworking, super nice, really kind people. I mean, unless they were talking about me behind my back, who knows? But in front of me, they were lovely. No, it was really great. Obviously, we had a lot of long days, which I feel does happen a lot on short films, especially low budget indies. But I feel like they're all really happy with the end result. And I think they do feel like that time was worth it. I mean, when you're in it, it is really difficult because you're really tired by the end of the day when it's supposed to be wrap time. A lot of the days were really hot as well. We were in a London house in the summer and it had 3 floors, and I think we were shooting mainly on floor 2 and floor 3, and heat rises. And on top of that, it was a really thin house. It was beautiful, but it was so thin that people had to like run up and down the stairs so much. I think that was probably the most challenging days. Even though we didn't finish as late on those days, I think just it was so grueling. And also I think that's the day that we fit the most in, so it was a lot of work there. But Yeah, no, I think the challenges were just trying to get the money together in pre-production. I think we were maybe like a week away from filming and we were still missing £4,000. And
Hmm.
that is a lot of money. That's like a day, a day of the shoot, at least. But luckily we had a great company reached out and helped us with that and gave us the rest. And it was like, man, when I got that email, it was the best day of my life. It was the best day of my life, but I also thought that I was being scammed because
Yeah.
I thought it was one of those like scammy
Too good
emails,
to
like,
be true.
hey, yeah, too good to be true. Like, hey, I saw your thing and I'm willing to help. And I'm like, who are you? But it turned out to be real. It turned out to be great. And we
You're
actually met
amazing.
we met a great person through that called Hamilton. He came in and worked with us, and I would love to work with him again if he wants to be on my next film, who knows? But yeah, no. It was really, even though there were a lot of challenges, I
Yeah.
think it was really, oh no, I forgot about the biggest challenge. It was the last day of the shoot, the last scene of the day, and the last scene of the film. We had an issue with the location we were at where some security people
Are we
came.
telling everyone that?
And yeah, we are. This is the best thing ever.
Okay.
Security came, and unfortunately, they basically said we couldn't film where we were filming. I didn't find out for, I think, maybe like 10 minutes because our producer and our AD were trying really hard to get them to like leave us be for maybe another half hour or something. We didn't have much left to film, but unfortunately, they were a little pushy when it comes to that. So then I tried to speak with them, and fortunately we managed to get like an extra 5 minutes. But at the same time, and this is how good my DP and her team are, and our scriptie, I love my scriptie. Jolie, if you're watching this, I love you. They basically, whilst I was trying to get this extra 5 minutes, which if you think about it, I'm trying to get 5 minutes, but at the same time, I'm also speaking to them for a little bit of time. My team was basically getting what we needed to finish the film. So they didn't stop rolling, they didn't stop filming, they didn't stop acting, they didn't just sit around waiting. They just kept going. And like I've never had that on any of my films before. Like I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just that we've never had a situation like that, but I just feel like if it wasn't that team, I think they would have just stopped and then we would have rushed to get what we needed. But the fact that they thought on their feet and just were like, hey, let's just keep that shit going whilst, they're dealing with that. It was like, it was the best.
Raising the money was extremely difficult. Like we
Mm,
did crowdfunding for our last two films, and that was
yeah.
hard. But this, for some reason, well, not for some reason, I think just because of the way the world is at the moment, and
Yeah.
everyone's really struggling, people just didn't have that spare money to give to short films, etc.
Yeah.
What audiences are you hoping to attract with this film, and what similar comedies would you compare and or contrast yours with?
Ooh, good question.
That is a good question. So I think originally when we were writing the feature film, we had a really big film that we wanted to pay like an homage to in a sense, because we feel like we've not seen a film like it, especially in the sapphic world. And that was called Imagine Me and You. It's a proper British sapphic rom-com, and there are none like it, especially like the London feel. So like with the feature film, that's definitely where we were trying to go. The short, I'm not sure, feels so much like that film. But can I be honest though? I said this to Hansof, I think, when we were researching. I said to Hansof that I remember watching a film when I was younger called If These Walls Could Talk Too. And that was genuinely, if you put our film and that film side by side, I think it's the closest film that feels like ours. And it's a feature film with three short stories in them. And the last short story, which features Ellen DeGeneres and Sharon Stone as a couple trying to have a baby, is like the closest that we've seen since. And that was a long time ago.
Maybe there's a little bit of Rye Lane, which is a
Oh, yeah.
rom-com from 2023. I can't think of
Yeah.
any other.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're unique.
You mentioned this being a sapphic comedy. What does that mean for those who may not be aware?
So, sapphic is an umbrella term for women and non-binary people who are attracted to other women. It actually comes from Sappho, an ancient Greek poet known for writing beautiful poetry about her love for women.
And the reason that we use the term sapphic now for our film rather than lesbian is actually because our character Amara is bisexual. She's not
Yeah.
lesbian. So I think it's really important that we don't just erase the fact that she's bisexual just because she's married to a woman. She's still bisexual. And it's really important that she's seen for who she is. So we think that the term sapphic just makes more sense.
Have there been any discussions about potentially expanding the short film into a feature, or is it way too early to entertain that possibility?
Yeah, actually, we started writing it as a feature film. So we definitely want to go back to that. When we were writing it still, we were getting a lot of period pieces in the cinema, but we were never getting stories that were just like from nowadays. Like, why do we have to keep showing old school stuff, like vintage pieces and stuff like that? But as we were writing the feature, there was actually a comedy film that got to go into the cinema, which is called Bottoms. And it was one of the best comedy lesbian features I'd ever seen. And the fact that it got like a cinema release just really gave us the boost to keep going with this story. And in the end, yeah, we just really hope that that is where it goes, that we end up having, cinema releases, as many as we can. And yeah, fingers crossed.
We hope more happens with it. The more people that get to see it, that is like the main thing for us, that people get to see themselves represented. That is not a word.
Represented.
Represented, that's the one. Get represented. There we go.
I mean, God, that's just as bad as me when I say continuity. I used to say continuity. And people were like, what? And people were like, what is continuity? And I was like,
I don't even think that's a word.
It's not. It's just that I said no, I can't say continuity wrong for like so many years. And especially in post-production,
Yeah, it's quite important.
Look, the continuity of that scene. And I'm like, the continuity, yes. Anyways, doesn't matter.
What have you both taken away from the experience of making You and Me Makes Three, and what are your biggest hopes for it as a project?
So I think for me, I learned a lot on this film as a director, because it was the best project that I've worked on myself. I don't know, I just feel like I want all of my films to be like that. But also, actually, a big thing that I've learned is we shot this film in 5 days. It's difficult because I truly believe that it was manageable in 5 days, but I have had some people say, actually, if you had an extra day, it would have been a bit easier and better for everybody. But then I've had other people say it was more than doable in that time. So I think for me, I think I would want to work towards getting an extra day. So that means obviously a little bit more funding and just always giving myself that extra time. That's a big one for me, because even though we got everything we wanted, actually, you know what? I say we got everything we wanted. Our shot list was a lot bigger when we went into it. But because we were slowly running out of time at each location, I had to really think on my feet and cut back on some of the shots. But I think that was actually much better. Yeah, my editor brain was just like, okay, well, what can I remove without messing up the whole scene? Which I think happens a lot on short films. And unfortunately, some directors can't always see like the final product. So a lot of the times when I get some stuff back as an editor, it's hard sometimes because I get told, oh, we had to cut this out and we had to remove this because we ran out of time or we ran out of money. And then it's actually really hard to make a scene work. But with our film, I think it actually made it better. Like, we had a scene in the cafe with the best friend where they have a conversation. And originally it was like you had the two shot, then you had the over the shoulder, then you had the reverse over the shoulder, then you had the hands, then you had this. And we were running out of time and I just went, you know what? We're just going to do one shot. You're going to slowly zoom into it so it gives a bit of like emotion or whatever, and we're just going to do the whole scene on a one take. And I think it's the best idea that we've ever had. It worked much better than like boom, 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 boom. Because then it's really hard to find like emotion, because you're like, when do I cut? When do I want to see him? When do I whatever? But I think with a one shot, it just, yeah. And the actors were great. Like, they really, really were great, because I didn't tell them about that in advance. They were already sat in the chairs. And I was like, yeah, so we're going to do a one shot. So you're going to have to get it right the whole way through. And they just did. And it was great. So yeah.
I just want to give Em a little compliment and say that it is really amazing, because I do a lot of film work. Like, I do stills photography on films. I've been on a lot of film sets, and I think Emma's the only person that I've ever worked. Actually, no, I probably have worked with other people, but maybe they weren't so good. But Emma's the only director I've worked with that like the editing side of her brain like really helps. Yeah, it makes her a special director, I think. The main thing I've taken is actually from the film now being finished and getting shown to audiences, etc., which has been absolutely amazing and like so heartwarming and joyful and stuff, because we've showed it to a lot of people who have been through similar journeys as the characters, and yeah, they've just been so happy to have seen themselves, even if it is a little bit different to their actual story. Like just seeing something like that has been amazing to them. And yeah, that's been the most special thing that's come from the film so far.
Yeah, I agree. It's been so nice. This was our first comedy, like proper comedy, and I think getting to hear the reactions in the cinema, like we had our premiere at BFI Flair, and it was like 400 seats.
Yeah.
And just getting people, like just getting to hear people's laughs at like the moments that you had hoped, and the gasps at moments that you had hoped, and like just like it's such a great payoff. We all worked so hard, like Sarah, Hansof, me. We worked on this for like a year or so before we even went into production.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And so it was a long time, yeah. And so, you know, getting to get that, yeah, I don't know. It's just so great. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you guys working on right now? And do you have anything out there that is completed that we should know about?
As a team, no, nothing yet. I mean, we really want to get back into writing the feature version of this film. Obviously, as in, yeah, we needed a break. Jesus, we needed a break.
Finally, what do you want audiences to take away from seeing You and Me Makes 3?
We just want them to come out feeling seen, really. Seen, understood. We want them to feel like they're kind of not alone. And I know this feels really weird, but I think Hansof once said,
"You can't be what you can't see."
Yeah, you can't be what you can't see. And there's also a lot of people out there who are going through it right now. And like we said, we don't have this story on our screens. Like you can't just turn the TV on and be like, hey, I'm trying for a baby right now. Let's see what these characters are up to. Like that's the kind of the point of TV, I feel, or the point of film. It's like escapism, but also you want to see yourself a bit. Like you want to relate to a character as well. So yeah, that's what we're hoping, really. Yeah. And we hope they have a laugh, and we hope they enjoy themselves. And I hope they leave feeling a bit more warm, you know, because we've had just so many sad stories and so many, you know, traumatizing stories surrounding sapphic characters and stuff, that like we just hope that the stuff we make makes them feel a little warmer.
There's a massive thing called bury your gays in like the sapphic community, and we've had enough of that, and we can do better. We can have nice lives as well, you know. We can have families, we can have whatever everyone else can. Why is that not being seen? So trying to have a little small part in helping.
Your work is definitely going a long way towards, you know, shaving a bigger piece of the pie in that regard. And
thank you.
And thank you very much, both of you, for coming on and taking the time to chat with me today about You and Me Makes 3. And continued success to both of you and to your entire cast and crew with it.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having us as well.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Emmalie and Hansof, for coming on.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
That's the Viewfinder Podcast for this week. I'm Chris Hadley. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, please stay safe, everyone.
The Viewfinder Podcast is hosted, written, produced, and edited by Chris Hadley. The show's title logo is designed by Matison LeBlanc. Be sure to like, listen, and subscribe to the Viewfinder Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out video versions of the show on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Viewfinder Podcast with Chris H, all one word. Let us know what you think by leaving a review on this or any other episode. If you have any questions, comments, and/or guest suggestions, or if you'd like to join Chris as a guest on an upcoming episode of the show, please contact us at theviewfinderpodcast@gmail.com. That's the Viewfinder Podcast @gmail.com. Follow us on X at ViewfinderPod, on Facebook at facebook.com/The Viewfinder Podcast, and on Instagram at The Viewfinder Podcast. This has been The Viewfinder Podcast with Chris Hadley. This is Erik Wood speaking.